guys, Sarah here from Yarn Lab Canada, and today I just wanted to show off my fiber haul from the most recent Calgary Fibre Shindig, which is like a small sort of fiber market, fiber and fiber arts related market that takes place every fall and spring here in Calgary. The market this year took place, I believe it was on April 16th, and there should be another one sometime around in October for those of you who are interested to see what they have in store next time around. And while the one-day market did have about 30 different vendors, I was mostly interested in the local. To Calgary or the southern Alberta sort of region indie dyers. So I am going to go ahead and show you my stash haul. And I do want to give a disclaimer, it was a massive haul. I've been saving up my pennies for this opportunity to buy some independently dyed yarns from fiber artists who I happen to follow and respect quite a lot here in Calgary. And I kind of justified the size of the purchasing based on the fact that I'll be moving to Medicine Hat as soon as my boys are born, and there is no local yarn shop in Medicine Hat. In fact, I'd have to drive the 2.5 hours back into Calgary to be able to purchase some yarn, and with twin boys I can't imagine myself doing that anytime over the next 4 months or so. So no small yarn shops for me, just Michael's there in Medicine Hat. And then on top of that, I have a hard time purchasing yarn online from indie dyers, in particular because between the crappy Canadian exchange rate and the oftentimes inordinate cost of shipping to Canada, it's hard to justify buying a single skein of yarn from a dyer. And I don't want to slip into that horrible place, or amazing place depending on how you look at it, where you end up saying, well, to justify $12 of shipping, I better buy 2 or 3 or 4 skeins. So this is going to be my tide me over for the rest of the summer and into the fall fiber haul, and let's start taking a look at it. First off, right through the doors of the Fiber Festival was Laura from The Fawn and the Fox. She has the Fawn Knits podcast on YouTube, and her shop, The Fawn and the Fox, I believe is on Etsy. All of the information for each of these dyers will of course be in the doobly-doo below. And I picked up a skein of her fawn base, which is fingering weight 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. And this one here is in the zombie colorway. And I'm going to be bad and take the labels off so I can show you the full skein. But it's really great, soft, lovely yarn, super squishy, and it's kind of a muted green, into a more gray green, and then some really nice pink. So this is the Fawn and the Fox on the fawn base in the zombie colorway, and that was the only skein that I purchased from her. Next up, I headed over to the Prairie Dye Studio booth, and I picked up 2 skeins of yarn there. So this is on her MCN sock, so again 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. This is in the Ring of Fire colorway, and there's her label right there. All of her information will be in the description below. And the Ring of Fire colorway is just really pretty, super soft. I actually suspect that this is the same base that the Fawn and the Fox uses. Considering that they're both here in Alberta and they're both 115 gram skeins with the same 375 to 380 yardage and the same fiber composition, they also feel like the exact same base. So I think these two might be dyeing on the same base for their MCM. But the Prairie Dye Studio picked up the Ring of Fire colorway. And then on her Anna's sock, which is 80% merino, 20% nylon, picked up a skein of Lilac Dreams. And I'll do a little Mina squishy yarn face because these are both super squishy. I mean, the MCN is obviously a little bit softer and prettier, but her Anna's sock base is really quite lovely as well. Alright, next things got a little bit out of hand when I visited my friend Sarah's booth at Sea Turtle Fibre Arts. and there is her logo and her ball band there. And I picked up a great big pile of yarn from Sarah, mostly to sort of encourage me down the road. Oh, that one's not supposed to be in the spot. Mostly to encourage me to do some more sock knitting. So I'll show you the two that are intended for socks. They're both on her Ridley sock base. You can see the info. It's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and this is the Dark Side of the Moon colorway. And then I also picked up the Rainbows and Unicorns colorway. And I'm gonna go ahead and open up the Dark Side of the Moon to show you this. She does the similar dyeing scheme with different sort of base colors. I believe you can pick it up on the purple, the black, there's a couple grays, but with the same sort of rainbow striping. And she's got swatches on her website. I'll insert a picture of the swatch for how this knits up here. But it'll make a really exciting pair of socks because the skein is mostly black, if you have the Dark Side of the Moon one, and then it has just a very short neon rainbow repeat in the middle. So as you're knitting socks, you'll have a mostly black sock with little stripy bits of the rainbow repeat. So really excited to turn this and the other skein into a pair of socks. I also picked up from her a skein of her Starfish sock, which is a Stellina base, and we have it's 85% superwash merino and 16% Stellina, 430 yards and 115 grams in the smashed colorway. And what really drew me to this is, while some Stellina bases can be very subtle, this base that Sea Turtle Fibre Arts is using is not. There is a ton of Stellina here. And it's a mostly gray one. This is, like I said, smashed colorway, mostly gray with speckles and spots of black and blue throughout. And I kind of have in mind to do a Wildesmeer shawl with this skein, which is of course designed by Kristen from the Yarngasm podcast. So I think that's going to be the intended destination for this skein of yarn. Finally, Sarah also does some really great gradient sets, and I couldn't resist picking up a Ridley sock gradient in the Fire and Ice colorway. And so, you know, you've got a gradient of fire and a gradient of ice. So it's 6 mini skeins and it's 100 yards each in each mini skein here. So I don't know what this is going to turn into yet, but I'm really excited for a very different kind of color gradient. Next up was the Dragonfly Dyewerx booth, where I picked up 3 skeins, and something I'm really excited about is a sock blank. So if you've been watching podcasts at all, you know that sock blanks are super sort of trendy and in right now. This one here is, and like I said, this is Dragonfly Dyewerx, there's her tag, and this is her sparkle sock, 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 5% Stellina, and I'll see, the Stellina doesn't show up. It's a much subtler Stellina for sure on this guy. But this should knit up into a really fun speckled pair of socks, I'd imagine. And I think I'm going to do contrasting green toes, heels, and cuffs on this pair of socks. Then I grabbed 2 skeins that I'm intending to knit together into a shawl project on her sparkle sock. So this is 75% merino, 20% nylon, 5% Stellina, of course, 438 yards and 100 grams. And we have the Sinister Flamingos, and I could not resist that colorway name. It's a pink with black speckles, and Maruru, which is a sort of tonal gray, and I can see these two being on the same base going together really fun into a 2-color shawl. And we'll do some Mina yarn, and we'll do some Mina yarn squish face. So yeah, This is another really lovely base. The yarn feels just super awesome. And the stellina, like I said, in the Dragonfly Dyewerx is fairly subtle compared to the stellina in the sea turtle fiber arts. And then, because it was on sale, I picked up a skein of her BFL sock. So this is 80% superwash blue face Leicester, 20% nylon, 400 yards, 100 grams. The colorway just says the word blue, but I wouldn't use the word blue to describe this skein at all, so it might be a mislabeling of it, but it was discounted and I picked it up. And I really like the sort of darker purpley pink with the black. And not sure what this will be. Maybe socks, maybe a shawl, maybe something else. And at that point I thought I was done, but then I noticed there was a table that was getting a lot of action in the corner because they had all of their yarn marked down 50% off. And this table was the Raventwist Fibre Arts, and all the information for her and all the other dyers in the description below. So like I said, marked down 50% off. So I grabbed a set of skeins in her DK weight 100% superwash merino base in 5 different colors here, with the intention that they would look really great with a solid in a Fair Isle sweater eventually. So these are going to be put away to do some sort of Fair Isle yoke, probably with a gray, I think, solid in a sweater. So 6 skeins there, and these are really squishy DK bases. The Raventwist yarns were more just kettle dyed tonals than anything hand painted or speckled or anything like that. So a set of sort of primary colors in kettle dye tonals. And then I grabbed a skein of her tire, which is fingering weight 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon, so sock weight 425 yards and 100 grams. And this is Wild Forest, so a green colorway that I thought would make great heels, toes, and cuffs with my speckled stock blank. And this one here is just 100% superwash merino, but I thought that these two would also play together nicely in a project. And this one's on her Rowan base, which is a little bit, the nylon one is tighter spun. I think it's 4-ply? Yeah, so the nylon one is a tighter spun yarn than the Rowan base, which is just a loftier 2-ply. But these might still play together well as well. So that is my giant stash of yarns from the Fibre Shindig this year. Hopefully should be more than enough to keep me knitting through the summer, especially with 2 newborn twins to keep me busy the rest of my time. But I'm glad I finally sat down to show off my fiber haul for you guys, because I can't wait to skein up some of that yarn to be used in projects over the next couple months. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. You can follow along here on YouTube by clicking subscribe, or over on Instagram at Yarn Lab Canada, or come and say hello on Ravelry. We do have a group for the YouTube channel, and that would be found by searching Yarn Lab Canada. That's all for now, and happy knitting!